what's up, everybody? Ryan Greenspan here from San Diego Dynasty, along with my buddy and new teammate, Scott Kemp, also San Diego Dynasty. You are at home with Dynasty. So I want to, first of all, thank everybody for watching. We're really stoked. We've gotten a lot of great feedback from this series. And I think it's a really cool idea and a cool way to give everybody some insight into what we're doing in the off season, our inspirations for some of the signature series stuff that we've come out with Field 1, and just some fun questions and stuff like that. So again, if you guys have anything that you'd like to learn about any of the guys, we're thinking about bringing in some of the older members of Dynasty and some of the upcoming events, and we're going to talk to them and see what they have to say. So if you want to see anybody in particular, please leave that below in the comments, and we'll try to get them on. So Scott,
what up?
Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Back into my house, which you've been here quite a bit.
Doing some BKI stuff too.
We're doing a lot of promotions there. Scott and I hang out actually quite often on the field, off the field. We used to live together. We basically almost live together still at the moment with the amount of times that you're over here. We actually just went surfing this morning, and there's a couple of questions that I actually think I know the answer to, but I don't know. I don't think we've ever talked about you starting to play paintball. Like how you started, what was the first experience? What was that like?
Yeah. So I played, first time I ever played, 12 years old at a birthday party. It was my buddy's birthday, and we all went out, rented gear, and all the parents were out there, and I just had a blast. And I was like, dude, this is so fun. And my buddy's birthday and my brother and a few other guys were like, dude, we need to do this all the time. So we started going out as often as we could. Our parents would drive us to the field. My parents had a big van, and so we would cram a bunch of our friends in, and my parents' house was like the sleepover house. So we would all spend the night there, and we would drive up to Valencia to this field called Close Encounters, actually where I met Bobby Avila's and started playing there. And it was like a big scenario field. It had just a big mountain. It was one giant field. And we started playing all the time. My dad actually played with us as well. And we wanted to get more involved into tournament paintball. And at the local store down the street from my house called Scrimmage, they had like paintball DVDs at the time. And I remember we would watch Push like every night before we would go to the field and play. We're 14, 15 years old by now. And we hear about this legendary field called SE Village. And that's where all the good players go. That's where the pros go. That's where all the tournament players go. We got to make our way there. So every once in a while, our parents would make the drive for us and take us out to SE Village. And half the day we would literally just spend watching the pros play. Because if you've ever been to SE Village, they had several different tournament fields. It was hyperball at the time. It wasn't even on airball. Right. It was all hyperball fields. And you would walk down these big walkway paths to get from field to field, and you're kind of overhead and you can see all the fields and all the games going on. So half the time we would literally just watch divisional and pro players play, and we're just like, wow, this is so cool. And then we would jump on when the fields would open up and play as well. And out there, we met the Hostel kids. So at the time, now I'm turning about 16, 17 years old, and I can drive. So I'm going out to SC Village every weekend. Bobby Avila's and my brother are our roll dogs at the time. And so we're heading out there all the time. And Hostel, so HK Army, not a lot of people know this, originally started from a 10-man team called Hostile Takeover. They were it was an amateur team. At the time, it wasn't called Division 1, 2, 3, 4. It was B or something, amateur, right? And then it would be novice, rookie, and there was also split divisions. A and B. Yeah, amateur, A, B, novice, and then rookie. So at the time, I believe they were novice, or maybe they were amateur B, was a team called Hostile Takeover. It was a group of older guys, and they wanted to form a kids team called Hostile Kids. So they linked up with Marky, Scotty, Jay, Nobby, all the guys that are owners of HK Army now. And they helped them get sponsors through their sponsorships as well, and help them, have a team to scrimmage against. And they needed to form a 10-man team. So we kind of linked up together. We were all same age group and playing out there every weekend. And then we formed the Hostile Kids. and we were a rookie team playing in the local series. So that's kind of how my whole tournament paintball sparked. And from there, just going to SC Village every weekend, and we were traveling for just regional. We played some national events too in the rookie division, paying out of our pocket to travel and compete. And then ended up going to the Ironman when they had an open tryout. We knew Zizek Barrow and Alex Hong, who just got on.
Zizek was on Ironman before you?
Yeah, he was on in 03.
Okay.
And then they were rebuilding. They kind of rebuilt like twice. So they rebuilt in 03 and they picked up Alex Hong, Zizek Barrow. And now they had like a really slim roster of about 6 or 7 guys at the time. Eric Roberts, Benini was still on the team, Billy Wing.
That was when Oliver left.
No, this was way before Oliver got on the Ironman. This is 2004.
No, I thought he was on the Ironman in 2000. And yeah, he was on Ironman in 2000, and then he left and then came back like 4 years ago.
Yeah. Right. So, during that era, I wasn't even involved in tournament paintball, so I wasn't aware of that
That's
part.
what I meant. I was going to ask you, what year was it? Because I'm trying to think. When you were 12 and then you were 16, so when you were 16, it would have been...
That was 2000
now, right?
So it was 2002.
Okay.
And then I was playing in rookie and novice division. So then in 04, we got picked up by the Ironman. They had a big open tryout for about a month long. And there was like 30 or 40 people. I remember some of the Texas kids flew out, like Grayson and Ryan Brand flew out there. Brandon Short was trying out. I tried out, a bunch of other guys, and we ended up, myself, Short, Bobby, Jules Foote, Paul Caddick, we all ended up making the team. They picked up about 5 or 6 of us to rebuild the Ironman in 2004. So that was my first year going into the pro division. And then, it all went from there. But to answer your question that I just rambled on for about 10 minutes, it all started from a birthday party when I was 12.
Well, that's funny. Well, I mean, that's how most people start, right? And then getting that little bite of wanting to play more. Like we played. I think when I was talking with Yoshi and I went to play for the very first time up at this place called Paintball Hill. That was in like 96. Hope maybe 97. Who knows? And then actually, funny story. And I don't know if you were on the Hostel Kids at the time. But they challenged us because they were like the street. This is where the street ball thing came from. Is like you guys would always go out with a crew and then just throw together. Like no one would ref, and you guys would just be running around like cheating, just shooting each other, like having a great time. And that's kind of like where the street ball concept came from. But I do remember at one of those things. I don't know if you were on the team.
Yeah, we were there.
They challenged us because we were the Iron Kids. Like, well, we still had the Iron Kids moniker, but we were on Dynasty at the time.
And they copied your guys' logo.
They copied the exact logo, which admittedly we stole from the Ironman to begin with because we had the shield and the iron, and then we put kids underneath.
And then we played for the logo.
Yeah, but then they stole both of those. It was the shield, the font for both, and then they decided they changed Iron to Hostile.
You guys beat us.
Yeah. So just so everybody knows, and this is an interesting little history lesson. We actually own the Hostel Kids name and the team because they challenged us for the name back in 04 or 02. Yeah. And they said the winner gets the name, and we said okay, and we beat beat the brakes off these guys, and then. So technically, but we're nice guys. We're stand-up gentlemen, and we allowed the Hostel Kids to keep their name. With just a little bit of Bruce to their ego. Yeah. Which doesn't seem to affect them. But that's an interesting factor that I wanted everybody to know. So your first pro team was the Ironman, and I guess and then also Catfish apparently I think played with you. Billy Saransky. You played with Billy Saransky?
Saransky was not on the squad at the time. They came back to the Ironman.
Right.
I was on Excessive, I believe, when they came back to the Ironman. And they were playing 7-man and X-Ball with them. Okay,
so name the pro teams. You were on Ironman first.
Ironman, and then we played. So I played for the Ironman in 04, and then Legacy, San Diego Legacy, was like the sister sponsor team. They were
team that everybody used to beat up on.
Yeah, and so they conned us all into joining with them because half the kids. So half the Hostel Kids that didn't make the Ironman cut in 04 ended up going to Legacy. So Legacy picked them up. And we get called into leaving the Ironman because hey, now we can all be together and be pro and full ride sponsorship. And we're like, all right, well, we got raw talent, but we got a lot of work to do. And that was exactly it. We were just reckless kids with no guidance. We had no true leadership, game plans, really. I mean, it was lawless, but it was fun. And at the time, also, the rosters, we had, I believe, 18 guys on the team. We were running three lines. So it was cool to, have that many of your buddies on a team at practice, at tournaments and travel and stuff. But yeah, we got our
yeah. You guys were the last place team.
Yeah. So then so from there, that season ended in 2005, and I was one of the standout players as well as Brandon Short. And the Ironman wanted to get Brandon Short back. And I was talking to Rusty, who was on Excessive at the time. And he was like, dude, you should come try out for Excessive. And at the time, Excessive had a lot going for them. They're going to have 2 7-man pro teams, which was super rare. I believe Dynasty was the only other team to have 2.
Right.
And then also playing in professional X-Ball. And yeah, they had a good team. So I went out and tried out for them and ended up making the team. That was a really great year for me. I learned a lot because I had guys like Rusty Glaze, John Richardson, Rich Telford, Matty Marshall, Micah, who were all they've been professional for a while.
And they were actually they had originally been on the Ironman.
They were original Ironman guys,
in the late 90s, early 2000s, and
then they broke away, and then Rich kind of formed his own squad of Excessive. And then there was also the newer guys like Carl Markowski, myself. And it was a great learning experience because I went from joining pro teams that didn't have, with the Ironman in 2004, we did have leadership and guidance, but we still didn't, we didn't win much, and we were only playing the 5 X-Ball events. Now I went into a team where I have some experience, I have some confidence, I have great leadership to look up to, and I'm playing in 2 divisions. So I'm playing, 10 events minimum. And that was a great year for me. Actually won my first pro event. So in 2005, we had, all the HK guys and all our buddies that we met at SC Village getting on a pro team. And it was like making the dream come true of getting all your friends together and competing at the pro level. But unfortunately, we had no leadership. We're a bunch of reckless kids, and we were just getting smashed every event. And so at the end of the season in 2005, I was standing out on the team. I was playing really well. So was Brandon Short. And Ironman went after Short, and Rusty Blaze from Excessive approached me and said, hey, you should come try out for Excessive. And I thought that was a great opportunity. They had 2 pro 7-man teams. They had a pro X-Ball team. So I ended up making the squad. And that was a great year for me because I had such great guidance and leadership from veteran players like Rich Telford, Rusty Glaze, John Richardson,
Matty
Marshall was a huge guidance to me. And then we had, Glenn Takamoto was on the squad. And then there was the younger guys, such as myself, Carl Markowski. And it was a great team to play for because we're practicing every weekend, or we had a tournament every weekend. And I just had guys that wanted to help me get better. And I'm already on my 3rd year of competing at the pro level. So I have some experience. I have some confidence. We go into the beginning of the season and we got 4th or 5th place on the Texas Open. That was the event that snowed, and
that's right.
We had a great run. We got bumped out by Trauma, or is it Trauma? No, Philly. Sorry,
Philly won that event.
Yeah, we got bumped out by them, and they ended up winning. But we still played really well. And I was on one of the starting lines out of 18 guys on the team, so that was like a huge confident booster for me coming onto this really good stacked team, and they're playing me as one of their main snake players. We go into 7-man for Huntington, and we took – did they take first and then you guys got second and then our other team got third, or did you guys get first?
I'm going to go with we got first.
I think they won that one. I think so. I believe we got first and third. Dynasty got second.
I don't know.
And then Miami Rage got 4th. But anyways, the highlight of that year was my very first pro win, Chicago, 2006, Chicago Open. And that was my very first pro win, which was a huge confident booster for me as well. Plus, I was getting a lot of playing time. Oh, yeah. Davey Williamson was also on the team.
Mm-hmm.
Nikki Cuba. We had such a stacked roster. That was such a great team. And unfortunately, a lot of those guys, those big name guys like Nikki and Davey and JR and Rusty, were promised a solid salary.
Well, that was the interesting thing about that team is that team was built to beat Dynasty, and there was a ton of money from that
excess
energy drink, right? So there was a bunch of money pumped in, and what was the son's name?
I forget, but the owners would come to the events. They would take us out. They're super nice. And, I joined the team. I'm not getting paid. I'm still, a fairly rookie player in the pro division, but these other guys have been around forever. They've won a lot of events. They're looking to get paid. And they were promised some, good chunk of change. And at the end of the year, nobody got it. And Dave Baines was on the team too.
Yeah, so I think at the end of the year in the San Diego event, I believe that at that event,
they all started quitting.
3 guys quit the day of the event because they're like, well, we're not going to get paid. Why do you keep stringing us around? Yeah. I think we swooped up Davey and Rusty. Or was it Davey and Dave Baines?
Yeah, and you guys picked up Baines too, right?
Yeah.
So I was super
we also swooped up the series on that one.
Yeah,
that little pick right there as well.
Yeah. And I was bummed because that team had a ton of potential, and that team gave me a huge boost in my career. And it sucked to see that team fall apart. And now they're going to rebuild. And now we're picking up newer guys that are not even rookies. They're playing in divisional, and I'm like, man, I don't want to have to rebuild again. Thinking about like what I went through with Legacy, and I don't want to have to do this all over again with this team. And so I ended up playing a season with Aftermath, actually.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so at the World Cup of that year with Excessive, I ended up tearing my ACL in the first game against the Naughty Dogs. I ended up blowing out my ACL. And so in the off season, it was more so this is recovery time for me. And Aftermath was blowing me up, and they had a pretty good team of a lot of guys that were, all my buddies, but they're playing in semi-pro now. So it was, Rainey, Bobby, Kenny, Winston, Mike Himmon's running the team, Stephen Pitts. And that was a local team too. They're playing out of San Diego. Right. If I stayed on Excessive, I'm doing this huge trek up to Modesto every weekend. I'm also not sure how many events I'm going to have to sit out in the beginning. Todd Martinez is also on the team. So I decided to join Aftermath, sat out the first few events, and then played with them through the rest of the year. But I wanted to still compete at the pro division. So when that season ended, I ended up talking with Billy Wing and got a spot to come back to the Ironman, which was my first pro team in 04.
Yeah, and then you guys ended up winning a couple one or two back-to-back World Cups, I think.
So they won 2, but that year I played with Aftermath, they won. Okay. So I wasn't with them. And then the following year we won. And that was my first year back with them, and we ended up winning.
Okay, yeah. And then, because you've had really good success at World Cup. You guys, because you won with X Factor once. Yeah,
once with X Factor, once with
Ironman, and then also with – oh, no, you didn't win with Excessive.
No,
okay. And then after your X Factor win, you retired for 3 years or 2 years?
2 years. 2 years. So I took 2 years off, and then the game was calling at me to come back, and I was bored, and and I'm still good, I feel like. And
yeah, well that's a funny thing, and we'll kind of jump into that part in a second about like when you just kind of like randomly were like, hey, I kind of want to start playing. But before we get into that, like you started playing a couple walk-on games, and this is actually fun, and I still got it. But we'll get back to that in a second. So during your downtime, right? So you pursued your training, your physical training, to become a trainer. and then you did some schooling stuff, and then you're currently a trainer.
Well, I've been personal training for 8 years, but a lot of it was just kind of part-time because I had paintball.
Mm-hmm.
So I would travel a bunch, especially playing international and stuff. I would really be doing part-time amount of sessions. And when I retired from paintball, then I was able to give it my all and work full-time.
And then, let's talk about then after the training. So you took up, I know you said your dad used to sail, right? Your dad used to take you sailing, because obviously we're gonna get into the sailing stuff, and I think that's a great transition to like your whole, I think how much time you spend in the water now. But your dad, because I remember you're like, hey, I used to sail with my dad a long time ago. We should get a boat. That's exactly what you said to me. Because your dad had come down, you guys rented a boat randomly on Mission Bay, and you're like, well, I used to sail a bunch. I remember it. We should get a boat. And then we ended up buying a boat.
Well, we rented a few times. And then we partnered up with one of my buddies. We partnered up with Libby.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
So we partnered up with a friend, and then we had full access to a boat. So that was like, all right, he sold his boat, and it was like, well, we need one of our own.
We just got excited about it.
Yeah.
We're like, well,
we just had a boat for a few months through the summertime, and we're like, well, we need a boat still. So we looked on Craigslist, and we found the old Fandango in Oceanside.
We were very ill-equipped and inexperienced, and didn't do our proper research when we were purchasing the boat, and ended up buying one that was a little it was going to cost more to fix the bottom of it than what we paid for the boat. So we decided that this would be a great way to kill a handful of birds with one stone. So we decided, for those of you guys who are not familiar with it, that we wanted to go on a big sailing trip. We've always wanted to do that. So we convinced one of our other buddies, because he was in the Coast Guard at one point. So we knew at that point he was a great swimmer. So if anything bad happened, and then we decided we were going to sail down to Cabo, and we researched a bunch of charities, because I was actually down there doing a clinic one time, and these guys were like, oh man, yeah, we'll go out to the coast, but it was just ravaged by this hurricane. And I realized that, like, when these fishing villages get just smoked, just dominated by these hurricanes that are pretty frequent down there now, they would all their resources would be just wiped away. So we raised a bunch of funds to be able to outfit the boat so it's capable of sailing more than just a day sail around the harbor. And we fixed it up, and we sailed down to a fishing village down south. And it was a little, we were certainly over our heads. This is day one that you're seeing right here. This is our first night. We were planning on leaving at like noon, or maybe earlier than noon, to get to Ensenada, which is the first port of entry, by that evening. Well, instead,
we left by sunset.
Yeah, we left after sunset.
Roy almost didn't come.
Yeah,
last minute.
Yeah, last minute he was like, "Really?
Some cold feet."
Yeah, really? We're really gonna go and do this? It was a cool experience, right? I mean,
yeah,
I thought it's interesting to see how you can persevere through a lot of adversity, just pushing yourself beyond your limits. And I think that that's something that's interesting, especially with you kind of coming from your injury, and kind of coming back into paintball is something that's, pretty spectacular to do, especially after not having played very often. I don't know. I definitely remember you a couple of actually, I remember when you were sleeping when we were fishing right here, and you came up to us bashing this fish because we didn't know what we were doing once we got the fish on board. We had no devices to like kill it. We forgot about that part. And also you realize that, so that's Roy and I that are on the boat right there sailing. So we're running with 2 guys on and 1 guy sleeping in 4-hour shifts. And Scott, you got the night shift.
Yeah, the worst shift.
How was that?
Yeah, it's horrible. I got to sleep from midnight to 4. And then you wake up at 4, and then you're up for another.
Well, no, you were on until you were on 8 p.m. to midnight, and then 4 a.m. to 8 a.m. I think. Because I remember I was looking at you at one night, and you were like soaking wet. There's a wave a dark wave came up and hit you in the back. It was like,
or did I have 8 to midnight?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
All I knew is that that sucked, and it's great when the sun comes out and the nighttime is horrible. And we're doing a 3-man shift where you sleep for 4 hours and then you're up for 8 and then you're back and sleep for 4 hours. And it's like you're counting down the minute until it's your time to go to sleep. And you're like, all right, I'm up. Come on out. You're just exhausted.
And the other thing is you're holding the rudder, and we didn't have like a nat. We had like a GPS thing, and the tiller. You're holding the tiller, and you're constantly in a leaning forward position, and you're just doing this. So like when we got to port here, or in one of the ports, I remember it felt like we were still on the boat, but B, it was like getting in a car accident. I was so sore.
Yeah. Super sore. Well, you're probably just from your body rocking the whole time, and you're, subconsciously counter rocking back and forth for hours and days on days. And when you finally hit hand, it does feel super weird to get off. Especially a smaller boat like that, you're going to feel all the rocking.
Right, yeah, leaning down. And then where you're sitting, because you always sat on this side of the boat, so you're kind of facing land. I want to say facing land, but we were 100 miles offshore at some points, so there's no land in sight. But all the swell would come from that angle. And I remember because I remember one night I was sleeping down in that bottom bunk, and it was basically like your bunk is here, and then the waves and everything are coming from here, so it splashed over you, or maybe it was Roy, and it splashed on my face when I was laying down. You can see we sleep kind of like back behind me in this picture, back down there in this little cubby hole, and you're just getting rocked by water every so often, just splashes down the hatch, and then we had to pump that thing out every day. It was just pump the bilge. Definitely a trip that I would say is gonna probably live with me for the rest of my life. Also, we made this fun documentary, The Fandango, put it on YouTube, and it made it to a film festival. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of cool to think. What do you think? Do you think you'll do? Well, yeah, I'd say you do like another trip, right?
Yeah, I would just be more prepared. It would be much more enjoyable with
a bigger boat.
A bigger boat, autopilot, so that you can actually. Because people do sails like this solo, right? But you need the right equipment. You would need autopilot. You need radar reflectors to see other boats coming, so you can actually nap by yourself, and the boat's just sailing by itself. Mm-hmm. But yeah, maybe
that stuff was out of our budget.
Yeah, we need a bigger budget, little nicer boat, and then it becomes a nice luxury sail. And if you time it right, then
you got the sun out. Don't miss that.
Yeah. Could be a little more comfortable.
Yeah, we kind of, it was a little, I don't want to say it was rushed, but it was a little rushed. I mean, we were kind of going down in between a couple of hurricanes.
We're super rushed because of our schedule.
And we had to come back because I had a clinic 10 days later or 2 weeks later. So
yeah, we came, it was like right after a tournament when we took off. So the timing of it was basically, hey, in these 3 months, which 7 to 10 days are we all available? Okay, just this week, So we didn't get to plan it out picture perfect, but I guess you never really do.
Mm-hmm. And then shortly after this, because this is also when Scott and I were living together, and I remember I would surf all the time, and I've tried to convince you a million times to go surfing, and then finally you went and did it at a wedding, and now you surf every single day. Mm-hmm. Do you think? I don't know. Were you much as like a water person when you were younger at all?
I mean, yeah, I don't know.
We're in the ocean every single day.
I know. I never got into surfing. I guess where I lived, I grew up in Los Angeles, but I was, 45 minutes from the ocean. Mm-hmm. And, when you're growing up and you're into whatever sports, your group of friends are into. So we skateboarded and biked, but we were too far from the ocean to be the surfers. So I never had any friends that surfed. So you go through all middle school and then high school, and now paintball was, my extreme sport that I love.
You did have that Tros Crew house that was.
Then I'm living on the beach.
That was like one house removed from the actual sand on the beach.
And at the time, I'm like, I can't surf now. Like, it's too late. Like, you got to do it when you're younger. So you feel like I can't start now because I'm going to suck, and it's too late to try.
You moved in with me,
but I also had nobody to surf with, so nobody in my house
every day.
Exactly,
and so did Roy. And then you had more excuses, but now look at you now, right?
Yeah,
I told you so.
But it's different because you're like, I don't know. You don't want to. You feel like, it could be fun, but it's hard. And then I don't have anybody that's on the same skill level as me. So I'm going to go out and just get work as they're like having a great time. It's not something that I grew up with, but now I love it and super addicted to it. And then I wish I started when I was younger because I would be so much better at it.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think that's a really good point that you brought up too. It's just kind of like you want to be you don't want to just hesitate to do something that does seem like it'll be a lot of fun just because you think you might not excel at it right away. You know, everything takes practice. It's going to take there's a lot of steps that are going to be in between you and the end goal. You know this as a trainer as well. I'm sure you tell people because people like to slack off and whatnot. But and in clinics is the same thing. Is like you got to do a little bit of the work. You can't just hop right in and get barreled. As you know, I've been doing this for a lot longer than you, and I still can't figure it out. As you saw this morning. But yeah, I think that's a great takeaway. Is like, you know, A, it's never too late to start. B, don't expect yourself to like excel at anything right away, and don't get discouraged because if there's something that you want to do and it looks fun, like go do it. And that's what you did. Now I think it's like neck and neck with your favorite hobby outside of, well, actually I think working out might be your favorite thing to do. And then surfing and then paintball's like the top, those are the top 3 things. And then, okay. So do you think that we're going to jump into your signature series gun? Cause it's called the Blue Waves.
Turquoise Waves. And I like that name. A, I like that name, but B, I don't know, did the ocean, did the water, did anything like that have any influence on it? What was the influence? Yeah, a little bit.
For your design? You can hold it up right here, kind of close.
So
I'll hold it up for you. This one's really cool. I think the detail in this thing is what really sets it apart from everybody else's. Seeing is that pretty much every single one of the Dynasty guns are silver and splash on the back. Yours and Blake's are probably, and Arturo's are the most unique. But this one's got a lot of great detail.
Yeah, it came out really well.
So what do you think? So I think you sent in actually a picture of something.
I sent in a knife that I found because Yosh was helping me work with creating a gun. And Yosh was really like, we could do whatever you want. Like, you know,
got the insert. Yeah.
Put in some colors and some designs, send them my way. And so I'm looking at different anodized stuff online, and I actually found a pocket knife that was anodized, and it looked like this. It was had the turquoise and silver, and I really like that. And I sent that to Yosh, and I was like, "What do you think about this?" He's like, "I think that could be really cool. Let's see if we can get it done." So they got it pretty spot on, and I was really impressed with the detailing and how it came out. I hope you guys can see that.
Yeah. If not, we can always throw a little inlay picture over it. But I like it also because, you know, everybody likes the gloss guns. I really like this matte color with this. I don't know. I think that the white, you know, I know silver is really cool and everything, but like how, and I actually preferred Tyler's gun when it was in matte finish rather than gloss, like because gloss silver is gloss silver, but flat silver is this white color right here. And I think that makes things kind of pop a little bit more, you know, it's like a subtle accent, you know? So that's, I thought yours came out really cool. And I think that everybody who did see it was also a little jealous of their design choices to a certain extent. I think that would look cool with some orange on the back, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I think that's pretty cool. And actually from what I understand, I've spoken to Yosh, and I think Yosh said that one's like one of the top sellers too. Yeah. So you knocked it out of the park with that.
I know I've had some people hit me up and ask me where to get them, and sending them to field1paintball.com.
Right,
is where they can purchase them, or also at their local stores.
Right. Yeah, your local Field One dealer also will have them. There's a list of those on the website, the Field One website. If you do have a store or anything like that, I think they can just contact and become a dealer. I believe they're back ordered. Most of the guns are back ordered. There are some random websites not random. Some of the dealer sites out there that do have them in stock. Yeah. So that's why
they should be getting the next shipment here in the
next week or so. Yeah. Yep. So, but those ones actually might have already been spoken for. That's what I'm saying. Backwards. Okay. So they're selling as soon as the ones sell out. Then the delivery date, I think it's moved back a couple of weeks, and then people can order for that delivery date. So because I know the guys are super limited. We've had Yosh and Alex both on there. And that's the other cool thing about it. I think we were talking about it before. You get that little card in the back that's like just like the born on date.
Yeah, and then who put it together.
Who put it together.
But,
Yosh. So,
yeah, the customer service is really great. You're going to get Yosher eggs if you call in. So yeah, if you're curious about the back order date or any other questions about the guns, like give those guys a call anytime and they'll answer all your questions.
Mm-hmm. I think that's important too. Obviously, everybody knows that customer service is important, but being able to call and like get one of the Dynasty guys on the phone is I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I mean, hell, they don't even answer my phone.
If I was a kid, I'd be prank calling them all the time.
True. So what is let's see here. Our next event, who knows when our next event is, actually. I think our next
we're going to do a street ball event.
Right.
Not this Saturday, but next at ASG for HK.
Mm-hmm.
So what's that all about? People pay an entry and they get...
Yeah, you get to, it's just like it's a mix between a big game and a fun day.
Mm-hmm.
And the HK Army gives away a bunch of free gear, and you just kind of, and then we'll all be out there like running points against guys. And it's actually pays homage exactly to what you guys used
like
to
what
do.
We started,
at SC Village. It was like, I remember all you Broms were there, and it was like everybody was like, "Yeah, we'll play. You guys want to point? You guys want to play us? We'll play you for the name." You know, that's kind of how it was. You know, maybe we can get them to do that again.
Yeah. So, do people have to sign up now, or did they?
Yeah, I think you can just sign up. I think it's on the ASG's website and HK's website. It may, So you can always check out the updates there. You can check out any of the updates on where we're going to be on our Instagram handles, which are down there. And then you can also, we're going to be at the HK is hosting a 7-man event. They're trying to bring 7-man back. We're in some capacity. We're actually just trying to get everybody to be playing paintball as much as you possibly can. And that's one thing we're very fortunate to in California, is that the fields are beginning to open up on a larger scale basis. San Diego County is still not open yet. I think maybe next weekend, but ASG is open. I believe some fields in LA are open. SC Village is actually unfortunately still closed, and so is Hollywood Sports.
I was talking to Pendleton, Fran, who runs the field at Pendleton, yesterday, and he said they're still a couple weeks out. They're not completely sure.
Right. So some places are going to be open, and obviously if your field is open, I mean, ASG, we were there last weekend. It was actually incredibly fun day. Justin Rabakoff had come out, Marcelo had come out, Brandon Cornell, Dan Norcross, Corey Hall, myself, Kyle Spica. We all just came out there and did a fun day. So that was actually a pretty cool thing. And that's kind of like what the street ball event's going to be like. It's just a bunch of pros there. And then we're going to have that 7-man event that we're going to play. And then with Dynasty, what I was talking about was when our next event is.
Right.
Like we're going to be playing paintball as much as we can, but I think our next event might actually be the ICC event in August. So I've actually been holding on to my autococker here this entire time, playing with the triggers and stuff like that, because this is what we're going to be using. I think in the next competition here is the mech event. For those of you guys who don't know, the 10-man mechanical series events are pretty prominent now and pretty cool. So I've been kind of like bouncing around between this, and I'm also actually waiting for my signature series force. I haven't even gotten my own yet.
Really?
The redesign. I had a little redesign done.
Because Marcelo copied you, or
no? Marcelo copied my new one. Yeah. But I did see his. His looks great. Looks something that looks very similar to something I would design, as a matter of fact. But yeah, you guys. Thank you guys very much for watching. Thank you, Scott, very much for coming by again. I know that you come by. I ask you to come by and help me out with projects all the time. And thank you very much to HK Army for all the gear, all the Signature Series gear that we will be dropping. I do have a new, I guess, summertime Hawaiian sailing tropical themed jersey and tank top and headband dropping pretty soon. I've been working with the HK Army guys to design that. And I think that's another really cool thing about working with our sponsors so closely. You growing up with the HK guys, you have a lot of influence, and they'll bend over backwards to help you guys out. Field One, obviously, myself being one of the founders of Field One, and the team, obviously, practicing and playing with the prototypes, we've developed what I can say is and I can confidently say is an incredibly great shooting marker. And all the design input, it's like Scott can say, hey, I don't like this, or can we change this? And we can easily implement that into the system, which luckily, thankfully, he doesn't have to say that.
No, they've been shooting phenomenal. No, I love these guns. And yeah, we went on about them the other day on BKI, but they're just super low maintenance. They're good quality. The customer service, everything that you're looking for in a gun is there. They shoot fragile paint. They feel good. They shoot good. They're consistent. So yeah, no bad things to say about these guns. I love them, and they look. This one looks really cool, but they all look cool. But this one's especially cool. So.
All right. Well, thank you guys again very much for watching At Home with Dynasty. Again, in the comment section below, let me know what maybe older Dynasty team member you'd like to hear from. Hopefully I can get them on the horn and do an interview with some of those guys. I know that a couple of you had mentioned, wanted to see what old Dynasty players are up to these days. We got Glenn Forster, who runs a field up in Northern California. We got Marcus Nielsen, who runs multi-million-dollar company. We got Richard Opie Lochran, who also does the same. Oliver Lang, we're going to try to get him on the horn from you. He runs a float tank and a yoga studio out in Indonesia, in Bali. So there's a lot of guys out there that we'd like to have you guys hear from. So if you know of anybody in particular or you'd like to hear something, shoot that in the comment section below or message one of us directly. All right. Thank you guys very much for watching, and thanks for the support.